What's up, y'all? Thank you for viewing the In Between series, the show where young folks honor the space between their dreams and reality. Today's In Between is the world and me. To my left, I have Courtney, Brenton, Tiana, and to my right, I have Frankie and CJ. So let me just go ahead and ask y'all, how are y'all doing navigating being black in this oppressive society?
All right, here we go.
We coming in with the jugger. I am not playing today. How y'all doing? Because I'm tired. I'm weary. I'm exhausted.
All right.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
you
how
pretty
I'm
much hit the nail.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
okay. Okay.
I'm trying to figure out how I can articulate my thoughts without being, disrespectful.
To whom? To who do you owe your respect?
So I feel like as young people, we already have something against us. But being young African American people, we're just requested to act a certain way and do things in a certain way that our colleagues don't have to do.
We get into respectability already.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so it's tough and heavy as head that wears the crown. You get what I'm saying? But does it make it fair? No. But at the same time, I was about to say, well, you just better. You gotta do stuff better.
Exactly.
Like,
But we've been hearing that our whole lives. You have to be twice as good. Like, I've experienced that myself. For example, just being in a predominantly white space at work and being that black girl. And for a while, I used to code switch. But honestly, I'm at the point now where...
You said what? You used to what?
I used to code switch.
What is that?
Code switch is when your normal behaviors become adapted or conform to appease your surroundings.
Okay.
I used to do that in my professional
You hear your voice like, hello.
Y'all know the movie Sorry to Bother You that just came out? It's like that.
So
and it's the idea that who you are isn't professional. So you have to adapt to in order to maintain this standards of professionalism. And I don't agree. So what are y'all saying? Do you think that is the norm? I know it's the normal, but do you think that that's okay? How we are told to conform and adapt.
It's definitely not okay. Having to alter ourselves under any other circumstances is not necessarily okay to fit anybody else's idea of what should be. But I do work in a white space. I can be very honest, and I know that I'm an entire, I'm not going to say it's an entire different being because it's an aspect of who I am, but it's not all of who I am. And I make sure that low key, I just keep that other side a little on hush. Mm-hmm. And
what is the other side? What is that? Because it's interesting.
My blackness. I'm going to be very frank.
All
of which that I describe to be my blackness. It's just a little quiet because I don't know. I grew up with a lot of white best friends, in white spaces. I definitely know how to socially, construct myself in those areas, and it becomes that. But that's not necessarily right. But I can say, I'm going to just jump the gun real quick. I accidentally said something about niggas in front of my coworkers.
I didn't drop the few niggas. And then drop them.
I've never heard any of them use the word nigga before, at least not around me. But in a matter of less than 2 minutes, one of the little girls said something about nigga at the end. And I said,
what was their color?
She was white, blonde hair, classic white person. Just
so that gave the okay, to me, and that's weird. To me, that's I guess when we talk about our workspaces and how we, may feel pressure to code switch or whatever. When we do embrace our blackness, whatever that is for you. How does that make you feel when you open that door up? Because then our white counterparts are like, okay, cool, bet this is okay.
This is what it is.
How do you address that?
I felt free in them motherfucker. When I first started working, I promise y'all I had straight hair. I was like, I haven't wore straight hair in years, for 3 years before this. I was like, let me get a wig. That was my first thought. It's you need to adapt to this standard and because as a black person, and especially a black woman in the workforce, they're already expecting you to be less than. And then I just felt like if I was to come as I am, they would be able to they would point any failure or mistake for being a black woman. You know what I mean? So I felt the need to kind of change outer surface identity so that when something happened, they wouldn't be so quick to relate it to my blackness. So I feel like in a way, I'm not only protecting myself, but protecting the ideas of what they have black people were. So
that's a lot. I feel when I am around white people that I am in representation of all black people, which is like a lot. I don't really.
And you are.
That's
essentially you are.
You are. Even it's just like I can't even get with the word like when they're saying ratchet or ghetto.
Exactly.
What are you relating it to?
Exactly.
Let's get to the bottom of this word that you're using before you continue to use it. Because I don't know. I just feel away.
I just do.
I feel away.
What were we about to say, CJ?
I would say one thing that gets tricky is like, you know, you want to, I guess, maintain a level of professionalism. It's like I could be professional being black as shit, or I could be professional, you know, put on a voice. But my thing is like, it gets to, where it gets tricky for us is we have to like tiptoe a line so we're not like a caricature.
Yeah.
You know, because if we're like representing, you know, I have an afro, I'm like, you know, I'm supposed to be this and the third, and I'm just like, okay, no, I'm just here to do my job, you know. But it's like if you're too black, you might get patronized for it, or you know, like you said, then there's a pass to say certain things or do certain things, or it's like, oh, well, let's, you know, do this or do that, and it's like, no, this is still a level of respect. Yeah. So I think when you are navigating in those spaces, you just have to like, you know, hold yourself high and like make sure you're demanding that respect as a human, like first, and just cultural, like. And the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that white people are still kind of scared about, you know, doing certain things. And if you give them a certain amount of comfort, like they can ask you certain questions. And
for white people.
Right. I mean,
they're not comfortable.
But it's like if they deem you as trustworthy or whatever, then of course they may ask you certain questions about things, and you just have to be honest based off of your perspective.
Questions. I feel like when they're trustworthy around me, they just say whatever they say the wrong thing.
Y'all, when Black Panther came out, lie to you not, I'm in the kitchen at work.
Lord,
Shorty walks up to me.
Like, to you?
No, she literally came up to me and said, "What does this mean?" My thing is, sis, if you watched that same film that I watched and you didn't understand what that meant, then it wasn't for you to understand. And the fact that you're approaching me, asking the one black girl in this entire like vicinity what something meant, you knew it was something that was significant to a certain culture. So like, if you don't get it, it's not for you. So why did you feel comfortable? It's like she did it on the hush, and I'm just like, yo, I'm not your black girl. Like, I know you try to like, I know what you're doing, but I'm not that for you. I'm not the one that you can ask, oh, what did you do to your hair? If your hair don't curl like this, if it don't float in the air like this, don't ask me. Like, it's not for you. So that's just how I feel.
What? So that brings me to ask. That puts me into a space and kind of like a mindset of like, what do we identify as black culture, and then what do we identify as like you just being who you are? Because for me, a long time, I got the whole, you know, when people heard me on the phone or they saw how I texted them, you know, they saw my name, my government is like a really white name, you know, they thought I was a white person because of the way that I talk, because of the way that I articulated myself, because of the way that I typed, you know, documentation. But when they saw me, they were like, oh, I thought you were white. So it's just like, how do you deal with that? Because I never felt like the way that I talked was white, like identifying a speech pattern with a color and a race was always a weird concept for me, because that's just how I grew up. And when I got into the professional world and people started to like, oh, you don't talk black, or you don't do this, like it became like, well, what is talking black? What is this? So like when it comes to like code switching in the workplace on that aspect, I never really related to that, because to me, I just talked how I talked and it was okay. And when people said, oh, I have to change the way I talk, I was like, well, to me, you just talk it. Like it's weird. And that was just like, where do we draw the line?
There are certain like languages that
I think being an American, like here in the USA, like though we do have our own speech, I think it's unfortunate and honestly a little ridiculous that we can't speak in that manner and it not be described as, I don't even know how to make that make sense.
And even if you choose to be like a black person, that doesn't make you any less educated. Sometimes I intentionally speak like I'm a nigga because I want you to know that I am this educated, this smart, this professional, and I am still me. Like, I would, like, intentionally insert a, oh yeah, girl, or, like, just some dumb stuff sometimes, not because I'm trying to be fake, it's because it's my natural me, and I want you to know, like, I'm not hiding it. That's where I am in my workplace at this point, but I know it's, like, really difficult to do that, and, like, you know, young folks still gotta get paid, and sometimes you just gotta go with it. So I was gonna ask you all, like, what are some of your forms of resistance, like, to not necessarily conform to, like, the conditions that...
So for me, I've always been me, no matter what. And I think when I graduated from VCU, you know, a lot of my classmates were white, but, you know, there was, like, the black kids who were like, oh, black kid too. But, like, VCU was fortunate enough for me. I never felt out of place. I was in the arts program, you know, it was all about the arts. My teachers, you know, never seemed like they cared. Like, I never encountered anything that was racially happening in my own program, which I appreciated. Going out into the professional world, when I went to go get my first job out of school, I had an interview, and it was just like at a predominantly white school, you know, and I was just like, you know, how am I gonna wear my hair? I have hair, you know. But to me, I was like, in my mind, I always wanted to be that cool music teacher with the hair that was like eccentric and whatever. So that was my goal. I wanted to be standoutish like that. Yeah. So I went to the interview and I was like, my resume speaks for itself. Okay. I have the skills. You know, I had the youthfulness that you're looking for, so I'm gonna be me. So I don't even remember how I went to the interview. It was somewhere that was unique to me. And I was like, whether you like me, you don't. If this job is for me, to me, I was like, God, I'm gonna go in and do me the best I can and not worry about what they're looking at because my resume should speak to myself. And I got the job. And I changed my hair all the time. I had braids, I had cornrows, I had an afro, I had it straightened for a time or whatever. I did so many things, and not once did anybody ever treat me any different or whatever, because I was confident who I was, and they actually respected the fact, and they were fascinated by the fact that, you know, I could change my hair so much. One time they even didn't know who I was because they were like, oh, I didn't recognize you in the hallway. You had changed your hair, and I was like, well, my face is the same.
I know we had the same
thing. But to me, it was just being me,
being you. And what's y'all's like form of resistance in this white ass America?
Probably my hair.
Your hair?
Because I've been in a lot of like corporate white spaces, especially when I went to school in Louisiana. I was working with the athletics program, and the director of my program told me that I had faux locks, and he told me I had to take them out because it wasn't professional. I said my hair has nothing to do with my work ethic or anything. I said I'm coming in here, I'm the first one in, I'm the last one out. Shut your mouth.
And
I did not take my hair.
Okay, that's not
you can kiss my black ass.
But I think for me, my form of resistance is being just confident, like he said, in who I am. And the fact that we versatile as hell. Like we're good at everything. So that white voice, I'm good at it. I'm good at it. Like I will come in and talk to you with my black ass, you know, to your white ass. You get what I'm saying? And you will love me by the end of that conversation. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yes.
So for me, it's more so not of it's not about like resistance, but more so changing the narrative for us. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Because it's like I'm gonna make you change your mind about black people and people in general. You get what I'm saying? I'm gonna make you feel so stupid that your ideology is all fucked up at the end. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. But is that our job though? Like
that's a good question.
Thing is, like,
that's a good
I'm
question.
gonna be me. Like I mean, in answer to the question, like I'm just gonna be me. I'm gonna keep trying and I'm gonna do my damn best every single day I go out. That's my resistance. Like when you said changing the narrative, but it's just like if you are a piece of shit person who doesn't see people for who they are and you judge people by the color of their skin, not the ethics of the character, you know, classic MLK other stuff. I can't.
Yeah.
What
I don't think it's our job, but I don't think our job is to force somebody to change how they view us. I think our job is to be the best us that we can be every day of our lives. And when we continue to do that, then the narrative will be forced to change because we're being consistent. And I think that people get too deep into, well, I'm gonna make them do this and I'm whatever. No, just be you and do you the way you do you. And if you don't conform to how people are trying to make you do you, then doing you will be enough.
Yeah. What were you about to say, Court?
I relate. I think as we're being our best selves around the spaces that which we're in, I think we do have a day-to-day impact on those people that are around us. But I can say that there are a wide range of black people And I can't say that all black people are in the same spaces that which we are in. And thus they're not necessarily moving in the same ways that which we're moving. But somebody still, I mean, it could be themselves, but regardless, somebody still has to speak up for them. Like, granted, you respect me, but like, it's outside of me. It's human beings as a whole. It's all black people. You don't get to choose, like, because you think I represent black people well or whatever. It's very interesting.
Like you're good blacks and bad blacks.
Sorry. That brings me to a point though, like, have you ever been in a space where somebody was like, oh, they were like maybe initially like nervous around you because they didn't know how you were going to act, and they were just like, oh God, they're not like the rest of those other niggas. I really have people tell me you're not like the rest of them. I said, why not? Oh, because you went to college. I know mad niggas that went to college. Oh, because you speak a certain way. I can talk like this, I can talk like that. Oh, you don't dress like them. That's because you see me dressed up at work.
Yeah, right.
I be half naked when I'm at the club. Like, stop. Well, you don't do this, you don't do that. I do. Like you were saying, being versatile. Black people are so versatile. I'm just like, I don't like when people are like,
You're a white
you
black person.
are like a white black person, or I'm comfortable around you. It's them that I'm worried about.
Yeah.
I don't like
Because
that.
they, in their minds, they can't wrap around the idea that, like Courtney said, black people are multifaceted and that black people are great people. So if you don't match the idea of what they think black people are, there has to be something different about you.
Right.
Like, their mind just can't process, like, we're just like that. But I'm going to bring it into, we have a submission. It's called In Between Nuck and Buck.
Ah, shit.
It's not a hard choice this time. So it starts off, help. What advice would you all give to a young black woman that has taken on a leadership role in a space that opens a door for conservatives, extreme right Republicans to be disrespectful on any given day? How would you suggest I handle those situations where my patience has run as thin as it can go? It is so hard being the bigger person. I personally feel like sometimes the bigger person is staying true to who you are. I at this point in who I am, so that's why I'm saying I couldn't be in this space.
Yeah.
But
She's in a leadership position, yeah?
Yeah.
So I feel like she just has to be a good leader.
That's true, too.
She has to maintain those same qualities of a good leader, and if her moral compass is leading her a different way, she needs to find a way to navigate them in a different way. And those extreme right, extreme right.
You said what you said.
Yeah. But it's like, it takes more than just like, a lot of that's so deeply conditioned. Yeah. It's like it's hard for your tenure to be the thing that's going to change their mind. Like, a lot of these people are going to die before they ever change, and even then they probably won't. So it's like, how do you as a good leader like navigate that to a space? So at the very least you're representing. So when there are other ideas and other progressive things that are coming in, like, I'm not sure if there are progressive Republicans, but maybe you can open the door for that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's touchy.
One of the things so y'all saw that Beyonce did the cover of Vogue for September, right?
Yes, of course.
Right, of course, right. And so in her interview, she was saying, the photographer was black. He was the first black person to ever do a cover for Vogue magazine, right?
It's 2018.
Exactly. So she was saying in her interview, she said that it's bigger than me. It's actually about me opening up opportunity for other people. So her being in that leadership position is going to open up opportunity for other young black women to come in and kind of do their thing. Sometimes you gotta do what you have to do in order to do what you want to do. It's benefited her.
But with using that as like, I just kind of like a focal point. Well, Beyonce in Vogue, black people have been on Vogue. Black photographers have not, shot Vogue, which is dope. She's in that position with the submission entry. She's with the extreme, all things that seems to be things that she may or may not agree with or whatever. So to me, it's a little different because it's like she's in an environment that clearly she's being conflicted with things on a day by day basis. So that's why I'm just like, do you have to be there, or is your mission for being there to make a change? Because if that's your goal, then do that to the best of your ability. Use your leadership position to figure out like, okay, this is how this goes down. This is where I can like slide something in here. I can change something here to kind of make it work. But if you don't have to be there, or you feel like it's conflicting with your morals and how you want yourself to be and how you want to grow as a leader, don't sacrifice and compromise your ideals because of a job, because it's a leadership position, because that could do more harm than hurt in the long run.
So where is the knock in the butt part? Like, how can we help her, like, fuel her flame? And because she obviously wants to, like, make a change, or at least she obviously doesn't want to just go along with it. And I'm not saying the resistance has to be actually physical, but I think there needs to be some disruption here.
Yeah, speak up. I think whenever she feels like she said I'm disrespected or I'm whatever, whenever that happens, speak up about it.
Yeah.
In that moment, don't tolerate it, because then if you tolerate it, they think it's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So be like, I don't know what you thought this was, but this is what it really is.
Yeah.
And I don't know, she can even keep it respectful while still not respecting their beliefs. But like, get into that elsewhere. In this space, we're going to keep it respectful to all. In some ways, like you said, she shouldn't tolerate what she's not, here for. Set boundaries. Like, ultimately, you are in the leadership role. You have that right to do that.
And I think wording is also everything. Word choice and like delivery. Because if it's something about killing them with kindness, or like doing it in a way that they don't expect. Like, I can shut you down. I ain't got to cuss you out. I ain't got to fuss you out. But you gonna know that what you do is not acceptable today or any day. And I think that doing that changes the dynamic. Like, oh, this isn't a rowdy black girl or whatever. Yeah. She has class. She knows how to like articulate a sentence, and she shut it down. Yeah. So now you're forced to pay attention because I changed your dynamic of what you thought I was going to do.
Yeah.
Do you all think that the art in like film and music that we have helps and motivates us as Black people to kind of navigate within the society?
Hell yeah. Have y'all seen the book bags that are going around for the Black children with the Black?
I saw that on the shade.
They love it. Like, they love it. Seeing that representation is amazing. I think that does a lot for us.
I feel like seeing us in art and across all sorts of mediums, it makes me feel human. It makes me feel like I'm here, I'm breathing, I'm in this bitch. I'm taking up this space and I'm important. You know what I mean? Because I'm so with social media, because I feel like, I don't know if it's some sort of algorithm, but I just keep seeing somebody was shot, somebody was stabbed, somebody was beat up. I just want to see that type of stuff. Right. So seeing like positive images, even if it would be something like this, something that may start out small but it could expand and like take over the world, it's just like you see people that look like you in a positive space, whether it be in paintings or in books or in movies, and you're like, I can relate. Like, a big part of me being able to talk about how I'm feeling about whatever is me having that sense of like familiarity.
Yeah.
And I feel like more open to it. So I guess if I were like Google like depression, you probably see a white girl or a white man like this.
Yes.
Well, maybe that's not supposed to, maybe that's not supposed to align with me because I don't see anybody that looks like me going through it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like seeing us in art, especially because I think art is so powerful, because even like if you're looking at a painting, there's no words and there's no construction to it. It's not like you looked at this painting, you have to think this, you have to feel this about it. It's up to your interpretation. That just makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Were you about to say something, CJ?
No, I was telling him to chill.
Oh, I actually looked it up. It was
a white person.
I mean, I would say like it's cool seeing like us like in different spaces, especially in art and film. Like, like Tiana said, like look right now we have Black film crew, Black cast, Black, like, that started from the Spike Lees, the Ice Cubes, all that, like Ryan Coogler, all that. It's dope to see, other people like us doing stuff. And like, it makes me feel human. It makes me feel like other things are possible, and especially with the wide spectrum of people there are, especially in our community. Like seeing someone like a Jay-Z get to where he is, and I'm just like, okay, well, I wasn't a kingpin, but I know that growing up how I did. Okay, I have a chance too to make my own lane. And then seeing people like like a Childish Gambino come up, I was like, okay, I can relate to this a little more, or I can relate to a Tyler a little more, and seeing how everyone is separately doing their own thing, and we're all like collectively just building up our like.
I think recognizing the power that we have too. I think we all too often we fall into the like, I'm oppressed, I'm suppressed, and I think that we don't really always realize that we're much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. And I think that we diminish our power because of the fear of something or because of just how we're conditioned and grow up. But it's like, if we were to all step into our power, there's, and I know it sounds cliche, but there's nothing that we can't do, and we've seen that with like strong black figures taking a stand, and it may have been like one person, but those actions have, you know, changed the world, or at least affected and brought attention to things to the entire world. And I think that within the arts and the media, I want to see more of us do that without being afraid of like, oh, is this gonna affect my money? Is this gonna affect my endorsements? Because, you know, yeah, it may do that, but you don't know that the impact of your small little action could have to get you even more and to change the narrative for black culture entirely. So like, let's stop being so scared to enact change because of what we're gonna lose and start to look and see what we'll gain from doing it.
Yeah.
So,
And I feel like that's conditioned too. It's like that, you know, like that, like it's like a poverty mindset. Like, you know, some people thinking, oh well, you know, like the house nigga syndrome. Like, oh well, I got this. I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to be on your side because I won't be able to sleep in the bed tonight. And it's just like,
bro,
no,
you can take over the whole house.
Exactly.
If you we all stand up. It's our house now.
Like, the thing is, like, that's like so deep conditioned to certain degrees. It's like you have to have a certain amount of empathy for it, but it's like it's weird. It's really weird. It's really touchy and nuanced, but it's like you have to know what your full purpose is, and I think that like knowing your history is really important too. Like, and going off what you said about like us being oppressed, is like we literally like. We're still here after slavery. That was a lot of fuck shit. We survived that fuck shit. You know what I mean? And it's like now, I mean, and the thing is, I think now people are like, you know, we're all aware, we're woke, we're all this, but it's like, and I think the missing ingredient, I think the missing ingredient for honestly, I'm not worried about black people. I think our only, like, the missing ingredient for us to be where we need to be is time. We just need time. We just need to keep doing what we're doing. Like, and I think people are like, oh, we want it now, we want it now. And I get that. And we're going to get it. But it's going to take time for us to really see what happens. Like, 3 generations down the line.
Speaking out against that.
Yeah. And I feel like, too, with
that's
talking
it.
to some white people, like, I could talk to a white person, like my friend Liz. If I were to say, oh, girl,
Hey, Liz.
the white, hey, Liz, girl, like, girl, the white was getting on my nerves today.
Yeah.
She would know that I'm not necessarily talking about her, but, you know,
Yeah.
because somebody said this, somebody said that. But she understands that she's using her privilege to help me and to help us, so she's not the issue. And my mom always told me, if things don't apply to you, they won't resonate with you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So,
And I feel like that's a great way to end the conversation.
True.
If they don't apply to you, then they won't resonate with you. So,
But also, I mean, let it resonate when it needs to.
okay, I like that. If it resonates with you, then check yourself. Point blank, period. Period. What's the girl saying? Period. All right, y'all. So that's kind of like the end of this conversation. We should do a part 2 for this.
Yeah, like there's so much we can say that we can't condense it all.
Yeah, so I want to thank everyone, all the viewers for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye, see y'all. Hey.
Oh my gosh, we are done.
Never stop for Becky call.
Oh, level up. Wait, do it with me. Oh, let's wait.
4